There was a time when somebody wrote a thesis about Paul McCartney being dead, and Paul is dead. And if you played back the records, I'm very serious here, it's crazy, but if you played back the records, there was something which said Paul is dead. And so then they started to play back all manner of records, and of course we were going to be main candidates for it. And somebody said, oh, it says My Sweet Satan in it. And I thought, oh gosh, it's hard enough writing the music one way round rather than that way.
Few things in rock history have sparked as much intrigue as the hidden messages buried within classic albums. Whether through eerie backmasking, cryptic album artwork, or strange coincidences, these secrets have captivated fans for decades. Get ready to uncover 7 hidden messages in classic rock albums that'll leave you questioning everything. Paul is Dead, The Beatles.
And this guy called me and asked me to narrate a book about, the idea that Paul's death had been faked. I didn't believe that when I was growing up.
Well, no, his death wasn't faked. He died in 1966 and was replaced by
right. Sorry, yeah, right. So, but that whole concept seemed to me ridiculous.
Few rock conspiracies have reached the level of infamy as the belief that Paul McCartney secretly died in 1966 and was replaced by a lookalike. The Paul is Dead theory has fascinated Beatles fans for decades, largely fueled by the supposed hidden clues scattered throughout their music and album artwork. One of the most infamous pieces of evidence lies in Revolution No. 9 from the White Album. When played in reverse, the repeated phrase "Number 9, Number 9" allegedly transforms into the chilling message "Turn me on, dead man." This eerie discovery convinced some fans the band had encoded subliminal hints about Paul's untimely demise. Adding fuel to the fire, the closing moments of Strawberry Fields Forever featured a faintly murmured phrase which some interpret as John Lennon saying, "I buried Paul." Lennon later clarified he was actually saying cranberry sauce, but the explanation did little to dissuade believers. The clues weren't in the audio alone, visual evidence only deepened the mystery. The Abbey Road album cover, one of rock's most dissected images, is often seen as a symbolic funeral procession. John Lennon, dressed in white, represents an angelic figure. Ringo Starr, in black, serves as the undertaker, while George Harrison, clad in denim, is the gravedigger. Paul, however, is the most suspicious of all, barefoot, out of step with the rest, and holding a cigarette in his right hand despite being left-handed. These details led many to believe it wasn't the real Paul, but rather his replacement. Despite repeated denials from McCartney and the Beatles, the conspiracy still lingers today. Stairway to Heaven, Led Zeppelin. One of the most infamous cases of alleged backmasking in rock history is tied to Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven. The iconic song, widely regarded as one of the greatest rock compositions of all time, became the center of a moral panic when rumors spread it contained hidden satanic messages when played in reverse. The most cited example occurs in the line, "If there's a bustle in your hedgerow, don't be alarmed now." When played backwards, some listeners claim to hear, "Here's to my sweet Satan." Other sections supposedly include phrases like, "He will give you 666" and "I live for Satan." While some hear only gibberish, others insist that the reversed lyrics form a coherent and sinister message. Fueling the speculation was Jimmy Page's well-documented fascination with the occult. Page was an admirer of Aleister Crowley, the notorious English occultist, and even purchased Crowley's former home, Boleskine House, which was rumored to be a site of dark rituals. This association only added credibility to the idea that Zeppelin had embedded hidden messages in their music, whether deliberately or through supernatural influence. Despite the widespread claims, the band denied any involvement in subliminal messaging. Robert Plant, in particular, expressed his frustration with the theory, stating that the accusations were, quote, "utter nonsense." Regardless of whether the alleged backmasking was intentional, accidental, or pure imagination, the idea that Stairway to Heaven carried secret messages made the song even more legendary. Empty Spaces, Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd was no stranger to sonic experimentation, and in 1979 they took things to the next level with a deliberate hidden message buried within The Wall. Unlike the backmasking controversies that often stem from accidental interpretations, this one was very real and was meant to be discovered. In the track Empty Spaces, if played in reverse, listeners can hear a ghostly whisper delivering a bizarre message. "Congratulations, you have just discovered the secret message. Please send your answer to Old Pink, care of the Funny Farm." The cryptic line is widely believed to be a reference to Syd Barrett, Pink Floyd's original frontman, who tragically suffered from mental illness and left the band years earlier. This chilling message ties directly into The Wall's overarching themes of madness and isolation. The album, which follows the psychological breakdown of the character Pink, was deeply personal for the band, drawing from their own experiences with Barrett's decline. Hotel California, the Eagles.
And was just got out of the water, and I was sitting there just playing acoustic guitar, and kind of out came that introduction, and I played it and played it and played it about 4 times, and I went, I've got to go record this before I forget it. So in my back bedroom, I had a little reel-to-reel TAC 4-track tape recorder.
Just because you have a guitar there, what's it sound like when you just start to play those first couple of chords? Like when you...
Few songs have generated as much speculation as the Eagles' Hotel California, a track that's been the subject of endless theories, including an alleged connection to the Church of Satan. The controversy stems from the album cover, which shows a mysterious figure standing on a balcony above a crowded hotel lobby. Some claimed this shadowy figure was Anton LaVey, the founder of the Church of Satan. The song's lyrics, especially lines like "They just can't kill the beast," only deepen the speculation that the song was about devil worship or a hidden cult. Don Henley and the Eagles have repeatedly dismissed these theories, stating that Hotel California was actually about the dark side of fame and excess in the music industry. But that hasn't stopped conspiracy theorists from seeing something more sinister hidden within its words and imagery. Another one bites the dust: Queen. By the 1980s, the fear of subliminal messages in rock music had reached a fever pitch, and Queen's Another One Bites the Dust became one of the most infamous examples. The controversy began when some listeners claimed that playing the song backward revealed a hidden pro-drug message. According to those who scrutinized the track, reversing the chorus produced a phrase that sounded like, "It's fun to smoke marijuana." The claim sent shockwaves through the music industry, prompting backlash from anti-drug groups and even leading to calls for censorship. Some religious and parent organizations insisted the song was a deliberate attempt to encourage drug use through subliminal means. Queen, however, adamantly denied any intentional message. Brian May dismissed the claim outright, stating the supposed phrase was nothing more than an example of autopareidolia, a phenomenon where the brain tries to find pattern in random sounds. Linguists and audio experts largely supported this explanation, arguing that the reversed lyrics only seemed to make sense because people were primed to expect certain words. 5 years, David Bowie.
I think we've even seen the tip of the iceberg. I think the potential of what the internet is going to do to society, both good and bad, is unimaginable. I think we're actually on the cusp of something exhilarating and terrifying.
The seemingly precognizant David Bowie was no stranger to strange coincidences and cryptic songwriting, but one of his most unsettling predictions comes from the rise and fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. The album's opening track, 5 Years, tells the story of a world that's doomed to destruction within 5 years, setting the stage for the album's apocalyptic themes. However, some fans believed that Bowie unknowingly foretold the rise of one of music's biggest stars, Kanye West. In the song, Bowie sings, "We've got 5 years left to cry in." While this lyric initially seemed like a typical piece of dystopian storytelling, fans noticed something bizarre years later. Exactly 5 years after The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust was released, Kanye West was born, June 8, 1977. While this could be dismissed as an odd but meaningless coincidence, things took an even stranger turn decades later when Bowie released Black Star in 2016. On it, he includes a track called Kanye, which for many was the final piece of the puzzle. Some theorize that Bowie had somehow foreseen Kanye West's significance in the music industry, possibly even hinting at him as his artistic successor. Of course, Bowie never addressed any of these theories, and there's no evidence that the song 5 Years had anything to do with Kanye's birth. But the eerie alignment of dates, combined with Bowie's history of cryptic songwriting, has kept the theory alive. Their Satanic Majesties request, the Rolling Stones. The Rolling Stones' 1967 album, Their Satanic Majesty's Request, has long been overshadowed by its more famous counterpart, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band by the Beatles. But over the years, some have pointed out that the Stones' psychedelic experiment contains dark, hidden messages. The album's title plays on the formal British phrase, Her Majesty's Request, making it sound like an invitation from a darker, more mystical power. Throughout the record, there are references to altered states of consciousness, mysticism, and even satanic rituals, something later explored more explicitly in Sympathy for the Devil. One of the biggest reasons for the album's sinister reputation is the band's association with Kenneth Anger, a filmmaker and devoted follower of Aleister Crowley, the famous occultist. Anger was close with Mick and Keith, and his influence reportedly led the band to experiment with occult ideas during this period. Now it's time to hear from you. Do you think these hidden messages in rock albums were intentional, or are they just the result of overanalyzing? Let us know in the comment section below.